Hello and welcome to the Battle and Barrow and another crafting video. Yeah, my D&D play session, we're going down to the Isle of Dread. Now, for that I'm going to need some buildings. Now I've got lots of buildings, but they're sort of European-y, medievally buildings such as this. But I'm going to need some tribal huts. In the Isle of Dread campaign, there's sort of different styles, but I'm going to make one that I'll use for all. And I want to make them like a circular mud hut with a grass roof and a door, something like this. So this is what we're going to make today. But how do we do this? How do I get this dome on here, for instance? And let's get on with the build. Well, for that, I am going to use these polystyrene balls. I have had these for years. I bought them for another project that never come to fruition. And since then, I've stored them in the bottom of my wardrobe. And every time I go to get clothes out, they come out the bag, roll over the place. So I'm really happy to be using them to get rid of them. The first thing I shall be doing is using my hot wire cutter and cutting down the middle. Now the balls, I don't think you can really see it in the camera here, but you can see like they are made from two semi-circles rather than a whole solid lump. So there is a sort of join line. So I'm just using that as a guide to cut down and cut them in half. Each ball will give you two huts. And when I've got these balls, I'm going to... Oh, better not do that. That looks dodgy. Let's just take one. I'm now going to... and totally ignore this part if you want, because in the end I don't do anything. I do a different finish, but I'm going to try and score a grass patterning. So I'm just dividing it into sections to make my life easier. And then I'm just going to engrave a sort of grass pattern in... yeah, you don't need to do this because I do it in a totally different way now. But if you didn't have the product in question that I use for the grass roofing, you can get away with doing this. And I'll leave this bit in so you can see the finish. Yeah, so when it's done, it will look like this. And now I need to sort of work out the circumference of the hut. So I need to do a bit of trig for this. I'm going to need to measure the diameter, which is... I want a bit of overhang, so I'm going to make it 9.5 centimeters. So for this I need to use a bit of mathematics, which is 2 pi times r. So r is going to be half of our diameter, it's the radius, or you could just use a circumference calculator online. And so doing that, it just works out to be 29.8 centimeters, so I'll make it just 29.5. And the height is just shy of 4 centimeters, 2 inches. So I'm just going to cut that out of cereal box card strips of this, and this will give us our outer wall, which we can bang round and tape together at the back just to hold it in place. And when it goes on the hut, it will look something like this. Before I do all that, I'm going to add a door. So I've got a template of a bit of card that I can use to draw the door onto all the huts. I'm going to put it on the middle here to make it easier. And then just going to do that on all the strips and cut that out. And to do so, I will just use a craft knife just to cut the door out. One thing I should say, just to go back in time, is before we cut the door out, it's best and easier just to... bend the card. This will make it easier later on. So I made my first one before I cut the door out, then I bent the card, and then you can come in and cut the doors out once it's bent. It just makes it easier. To hold it in place, I'm just using this white duct tape. It doesn't matter too much at this stage, just to temporarily hold it in place before we glue it to the roof, just to hold its shape and make things easier. So I'm just applying some tape to stick it in place. Now with them taped, I'm going to add a heavy bead of hot glue around the roof, coming in about 1/4 centimeter because it's going to have an overhang. Put plenty on, it'll make this next bit easier. Glue the come in and glue the wall onto it underneath. This is where you need multiple hands, and if you've bent it properly it shouldn't be too bad, it should glue on fairly easy. Now I want to add some sort of texture to the wall, so I'm going over to my plastering table. It makes it sound like my room's bigger than what it is. This is just the same area that I'm working on, just with a bit of board that I use for plastering on. This is just Herculite 2 plaster. You can use anything like plaster of Paris or wall filler, spackle, something like that, but you just add it up, mix it up so it's a bit watery if you're using that. So here I'm adding the plaster to the water, which is the as per the instructions. I'm just going to mix it up. Once I've got it to the correct consistency, I'm just going to come in with my fingers and just add it all round. Now, doing this in 2 stages. One, I'm just getting the plaster on and getting a rough texture, and I'm doing this to all the pieces, which is allowing the plaster to slightly go off. And then I'm coming in, I'm just going to dab it with my fingers over the plaster, just to give a bit of rough texture. I don't want it to be smooth, I want it to be, well, it looks like mud has been slapped upon it. Whilst the plaster is drying, we can return to the doors. So I'm just using some chipboard, and I'm just going to sort of trace around the door, leaving a gap either side, so this can give us something to attach it to. I'm going to make multiple doors at once, so I'm just going to trace around all the doors, enough doors to make as much as I need. I am then going to come in with a sculpting tool and add some wood grain texture into it, and then add some wooden planking into it too. The planking is done with a rule and a ballpoint pen, just to add planks of wood in. Cut them out, and then I'm going to texture up another piece which is the same width as the door, but longer. I'm just going to texture it all up in one go, and then I'm going to cut this down into strips. 2 of these then get glued towards the top and bottom of the doors, acting as planks holding the rest of the wood together. And it's like a crude door, which makes sense. Okay, I've then slightly curved the door to make this part easier as well. And once the plaster's dry, come in with some PVA. You might be better off doing this with hot glue because it will hot bond it quicker. I wish I had done that, but yeah, some PVA and just push the door into place at the back, and you've got your door, your hut, you kind of, sort of. Okay, so I'm going to paint it. I'm just going to undercoat the whole thing in a sort of brown, a burnt umbery brown. The burnt umber brown that I'm applying to the actual walls will be slightly watered down, and I'm not going to do any other painting for this wall because where the plaster soaks in the water, it gives you highlights and lowlights, and it looks good as it is. So I didn't do anything else other than one coat of watered down brown. Now, just as an aside quickly, whilst I'm letting that dry, is the Isle of Dread needed some raised huts that are on sort of a wooden platform and stilts. So I'm just going to make that quickly now. So I've done a circle that is 2 inches bigger than the hut, so when the hut goes on it, it's got like an inch platform all the way around. I'm just cutting that out. I do have a jig for circles which I totally forgot I had, so I did this by hand. Not the best. Then come in with ballpoint pen and texture in a plank into it, and then just make sure the hut sits in it. So yeah, that is what it's going to look like. You of course may not need to make these. These are just something a little bit extra for my game. Then come in with wire brush and add some planking texture. This foam board that I'm using is sort of paperless stuff. I've managed to buy by accident a while back, and it's great. It takes texture lovely. It's not as strong as normal foam board, but for something like this, which is probably a project where these things I'm probably going to throw away once I've done the Isle of Dread, it's fine. It's fine for that. The stilts are going to be 2 high and cut from balsa wood, and I've marked out two 2 inches high on across a rod, and I'm just going to use a saw and a mitre to cut them as straight as possible, which I don't really do. They're wonky as anything. Once they're cut out, I'm just going to use some hot glue and glue one north, south, east and west kind of thing as the stilts. Now, those get painted up the same as the hut, just in a brown. I'm not doing anything else. Now we're coming in to the roof again, and we don't need to worry about this stage. I'm just going to dry brush this orc brown over the top. So I was going to see about how this looked. We textured it, we put a sort of straw texture on, so I'm going to go around and paint it all. I then decide to come in with this horse tone roaring to add a bit of a dry brush on the door to make it look weathered, and on the grass at the top. And when it's done, it looks like this. And okay, this would be perfectly acceptable, but I wasn't really pleased with the top. If you didn't have the next material, you could get away with it. But what I'm going to use is this doormat material. This is from a previous project I used for cornfields, so I'm just going to use that, and I'm going to flip it over and cut it into strips. You can just do this with a full mat, so that's why mine don't look like a full doormat. So this is an old project. If I ever want to use again, I'll just add some strips, but as we're going nautical I thought this is a better use. So I'm going to add it into strips and glue these round like so using a hot glue gun. So the first thing I've got to do is cut loads of strips. You'll get a load of offcut, so I'm going to keep those because this can be used to cover the top when I get to that stage. So with loads of strips done, it's time to bust out the hot glue gun and run beads of hot glue around and glue the bits in. Where my stuff isn't long enough, I couldn't do it in one piece, so I will have to add another bit at the back and work out how long it needs to be and chop it accordingly. I found for chopping it, just getting some, you can either do it with a knife here, but later on I use some snips just to make it quicker. And when you get to the top, apply a big load of hot glue and add in that bits that we've been keeping that have been falling off, and you will have a hut. Let it all go off, and that is it. And that is it for this build. Thank you for watching. What we're going to look at now is some footage from a D&D game where I set the huts up in place. So yeah, I'm really pleased with these. I built 6 of these in an afternoon, and they've been used in a game already, and they worked great. But that's it for this video, guys. Until the next one, stay safe, take care, bye bye.